Home sweet home. The New York Mets take Game 7 and take Game 1 against the Toronto Blue Jays and win the home opener by a score of 5-0. We'll get right into it right after the intro.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the Mets, Mets of New York Town.
Welcome back to the Bleed Orange and Blue podcast. My name is TJ Labby, and this is the postgame review. Game 7 of 162, the New York Mets shut down the Toronto Blue Jays by a score of 5-0. Jeez. Watch this game from opening ceremonies all the way to the end, and I can fully say that this was the first clean game the Mets had played all season. It was great to see Lindor getting hits. It was great to see Alonso keep mashing. He's just been on a Linsanity type run right now. He's been very patient at the plate. He's getting a lot of good knocks, especially that home run. That home run I did not think was going to get out, but just underestimating the strength of the polar bear dug me in again. Oh well. Soto knocking in an RBI. Nimmo knocking in an RBI. Marte with a sac fly. Nothing really doing with this game. It was just clean, straightforward. Pitching was great. Bullpen was great. Offense was great. Nothing much really doing. Doing. So let's go into our stat lines. On the pitching stat line for the Mets, Tyler McGill getting his second win of the season. He was electric. He was fantastic. 5 in the third pitch, 2 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. He was fantastic getting out of jams. The only really big hit that I guess he really gave up was a triple against Springer, but he was able to get out of that jam and keep it going. So he did a very good job. They knew when he was gassed, and they took him out and brought in Reed Garrett, who went 2/3. Yeah, only only 2/3 of an inning, got 2 strikeouts. Very clutch for Reed Garrett, especially with traffic on base. He's been doing great, and hopefully continue to see more of that. Minter pitched an inning, gave up a hit, but got 3 strikeouts. Looked a lot better in this appearance than he looked a lot better in this appearance than he did in Miami. And then Max Kranick, the diamond in the rough, if you will. 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 strikeout, and he also shut down the door. As said, it was just lights out pitching from the Mets pitching staff, and it was fantastic to see. And it's definitely a different vibe playing in front of your home crowd, and I think they really thrived on the home crowd yesterday at Citi Field. Hitting stat lines, Lindor went 1 for 2 with 2 runs scored, 2 walks. He looked a lot better at the plate at the plate yesterday. And I think, as I said, thriving off that crowd energy. Lindor thrives off that type of stuff. The serenade of My Girl in the when he came up leadoff spot and he rips a double up the gap. Fantastic to see by him. Or actually, it wasn't a double, but he was able to get a swim move in, and they overturned the call from out and gave him instead double. Soto, 1 for 4 runs scored in an RBI. You got an RBI double. You cannot, and I mean cannot, hang sliders to Juan Soto because he will mash them. He was the person who was pitching against him is fortunate that that ball did not leave the yard and that it was only a double. And speaking of that pitcher, Fluharty, he didn't even finish that inning. He gave up 3 hard hits, and that was it. Or 2 hard hits, and that was it. Alonso the player of the game again, 1 for 3, 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs, and a walk, and also another polar bear bomb opposite field. He has been fantastic as of late. He's not pulling the ball anymore. He's become a complete hitter where he can hit to left, right, and center. He's been fantastic at the plate, very consistent, drawing walks when he needs to, and he's also decreasing his strikeout rate, which is something that we did not see last season, and that is great to see coming from the polar bear. And he just looks alive. He looks a lot better than he did back in 2024. It looks like the pressure has finally gone away from him, and the reps that he did over the spring are really helping him out. And it's great to see coming from Pete Alonso. Brandon Nimmo, 1 for 3 with an RBI and a walk. Of course, he was another one who got an RBI double. Ripped it right down the right field line. Good to see out of Nimmo getting an RBI, and he's doing good too. He's got 2 home runs already on the season, and hopefully continue to see more because he's going to have a lot more opportunities at the cleanup spot. Hopefully keep it going from that spot. Marte 0 for 2 with an RBI. He did get a sac fly, so not the worst case scenario from Marte. And he was basically in there today instead of Winker because Marte hits better against Kevin Gausman. He mostly hit better against the bullpen, but it is what it is. Mark Vientos 0 for 3. He didn't have any strikeouts, which is good. A lot of his at-bats were hard-hit balls, so nothing really to fault him on. But I think he's starting to pick it. He's starting to trying to figure things out. Of course, he's been on a little bit of a slump recently. Hopefully, he can continue to pick it up. If I can speak, thank you, and hopefully get back to being the Mark Vientos that we know he can be. Luis Torrens 0 for 3, 3 ground outs, nothing much in the books for Torrens. Acuna 0 for 3 with a strikeout. He's got to stop swinging at everything. I know he's one of the rookies, and I know he's very jumpy, very excited, very energetic. But dude, I got to see more of that patience that I saw in Houston with that 12 to 13 pitch at bat. I can't be seeing you swinging at everything. I don't care if you're making contact, dude. Take a pitch. You don't have to go for the home run, especially the Mets didn't need the home run, honestly. They already had a decent enough lead with the 2-0 lead, and then they made it 5-0. So it's like you don't have to be chasing a home run. You can chase a base hit, but stop swinging at everything. Stop freely swinging. And speaking of freely swinging, Jose Siri, who went 0 for 3, but he didn't have any strikeouts. It was a fantastic day by the Mets offense. First time in Kevin Gausman's 13-year career, he did not have a strikeout. He didn't strike out anyone on the Mets lineup. The only strikeout from this game was from Luis Angel Acuna facing Jacob Barnes. That's how impassioned this Mets offense was yesterday, and it was fantastic to see. Of course, the final stat line, the Blue Jays, no runs, 4 hits, no errors. Mets, 5 runs, 4 hits, no errors. And I know what you're thinking. It's like only 4 hits. Yes, but those 4 hits were extra base hits, which is something that you would rather see instead of seeing singles. All of them extra base hits. Alonso's 2-run homer, of course, made it 2-0. After that, in the bottom of the 6th, Juan Soto with an RBI double. Brandon Nimmo then follows up with an RBI double, made it 4-0. And then Marte with a sac fly made it 5-0. And that's basically all she wrote. Quick, simple, right to the point. Nothing really doing. Tylor Megill looking great. Hopefully he continued to keep that Tylor Megill type pitching style past April. which would be great since Sean Manaea is on the back burner till it looks like the end of May. So we need the pitching to be sustained for as long as it can go. But as for today's game, it's our first City Connect game of the season. Saturday night game, 7:10 start. SNY, Gary Teeth and Ron on the call. Griffin Canning takes the ball against Chris Bassett, a former Met who I thought was one of the best Mets in the year of 2022. But what do I expect tonight? Griffin Canning keep attacking with that slider, keep trying to get hitters off guard. The only guy that I really fear in this Toronto lineup as of his producing hitting right now is George Springer. Springer's been off to a fantastic start this season, batting at least over 400. He got a couple knocks yesterday against the Mets, but nothing really to write home about. Bichette was okay. Vladdy, of course, you always have to fear Vladdy. He can take you deep at any given time. But as long as the Mets can lock it down and hopefully not continue the start of the City Connect jersey curse, because last year when they started wearing these the first game of the season, I think they almost got no hit against the Atlanta Braves. Or no, it was against the Cardinals, and Pete Alonso hit his 200th career home run, and we got smacked against the Cardinals. So hopefully get a nice win tonight. It's going to be chilly, so definitely bundle up if you're going to Citi Field tonight for this game, and hopefully the Mets can pull out a W, already take 2 out of 3 from the series, and then hopefully if they win tonight, go into tomorrow to get the sweep against Bowden Francis, which is not going to be easy. Bowden Francis is a fantastic pitcher. He had the Mets no hit back in Toronto until the 9th inning, and then Lindor hit a clutch home run to tie that game, and the Mets ended up winning that game by a score of 6-2. So hopefully the Mets can keep that offense going and hopefully get a good win here tonight in the City Connects. And as for this episode of the Blue, Orange, and Blue podcast, you can put it in the books.